Okay, so today we're going to be doing lesson 2. We're going to be talking about plants and energy in our ecosystem and interdependence unit. So some of our prior knowledge from our first lesson that we're going to be drawing on today is plant structures, functions of plant structures, and the students, we interacted with the plants that were on each table yesterday, and we have our plants back again, so we're going to be interacting with those on our table. And remember, yesterday we said, I can explain the structures of plants and their roles. We're going to keep that in mind, and we're going to bring that into today's lesson. So today, our standard is recognize the plants use energy from the sun, air, and water to make their own food. And by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to say, I can identify how plants use energy to make their own food. I'm going to take a quick second and just gloss over the performance scale. So if you can identify how plants use energy to make their own food, by the end of this lesson, you are on target. If you feel like you can identify how plants use energy to make their own food and show others, you are great, you're on an awesome track. And if you feel like you're at this level by the end of the lesson, I can recall the plants use energy to make their own food, then, we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to explain a little bit more to make some more of those connections that are missed. So by the end of the lesson, check in where you are, and I'll be checking with you to see how much you understand. Okay, so first, how do you get energy? So let's brainstorm. So if I was going to say my energy, what are some things that we could say brainstorm? So some of you might say solar energy, right? Some of our houses have solar energy. Some of us might say food. That's very important. So for this one, to help us remember solar, I'm going to draw a little sun. And you can also, in your version that you have at your desk, take these notes in these areas and draw a picture to help you remember what the term was. For this one, I'm going to draw myself eating a taco, because that will help me remember food. What are other ways that we can get energy? Sometimes exercise, right? Exercise helps us feel like we have lots of energy and we're lots of strong. So feel free to add some of your own examples. I'm going to draw myself jumping rope. Okay. Finish the last one on your own and draw a picture to help you remember to associate how you get energy. All right. So next, we're going to be asking ourselves, how do your plants that are on your tables in front of you, how did they get their energy and food? We said food was an important part of how we get our energy, but how do plants get their energy? Do they eat tacos like I do? Do they exercise like you do? Let's see. How do we think that plants get their energy? Let's brainstorm. So I know some of you are saying that maybe they get it from the soil. That's a good idea. So my plant is in lots of nice rich soil. How else? Okay, the sun, that's a good one. The sun might help them get some energy. What else do we think? Maybe water. I'm going to draw a nice, beautiful rain cloud with some raindrops. Maybe they get some water. Again, take a moment and fill in the last section on your own and draw a picture that will help you associate your ideas and help you remember it for the next part. So while you're finishing up that, I'm going to erase my examples. So what do our plants need? Some of you guys were very on track, right on target. Plants need the sun. They need air, surprisingly no one mentioned, and water. They need all of these to make their own food. And if you see here, we have a picture that kind of relates it all. So we got sun, we got sunlight. The air, we get oxygen being released by the plant, carbon dioxide. Remember we talked about these plant structures yesterday. So a lot of these should be familiar in their roles. And look, we have water. Water is being absorbed by the roots. And what is it in? Soil. So we're going to take a quick second and we're going to watch this video, and we're gonna pause throughout it and talk about it. Once we get past this ad.
Doesn't that sound like a big word? Well, don't be bogged down by it. I'll tell you what it means. Photo is a Greek word for light, and synthesis is a Greek word for putting together. Now, it's simple. Photosynthesis is using light to put things together. Plants use this process to make their food with the help of sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Did you know that plants breathe just like us? You didn't?
Okay, so now that we watched that lovely video, we watched the whole video, of course, we're going to talk about that term that came up, photosynthesis. What does photosynthesis mean? Photosynthesis means plants use energy from sunlight, water, and air, carbon dioxide in the air, to make their own food. So again, we have the connection in each. So in your journals, write down the definition of photosynthesis and draw your own picture to help you associate the process. We have our sunlight energy, we have our water coming in from the rain cloud, we have the air that's providing the carbon dioxide for the plant. Take a moment and jot those down in your journals. Okay. So now, can you label the ingredients for photosynthesis? So we have sunlight, we have water, and what's the last one? Oh, air, good. We got carbon dioxide in the air. You guys are almost experts. You're able to label this picture perfectly. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, based on all the information that we've took in and processed so far, with our definitions, with our pictures, I want you to take a moment and with your peers, create a quiz on Google Forms or in your notebook paper, and quiz each other on some of the terms that we've discussed so far. So here's an example of what one of your quizzes may look like when it's done, or what I thought my quiz would look like if I was making one. So one of the questions was, what factor helps to create plants to create their own food? What is photosynthesis? What do plants use energy for? So questions like that, quiz your peers, make sure they know the answers, and if somebody's confused, help clarify it, talk it out, work together, draw some pictures if you're missing a part, remember what factors need to be involved. Okay, so now that we've quizzed each other and we know all of our terms, can you find any of the ingredients of photosynthesis in this classroom? I want you to take your journal and your group and walk around and look for evidence. Remember those factors that we talked about. So I see some of you are looking at the windows because you're getting sunlight. I see some of you have water bottles on your desks for water. And I think there's a lot of air in this classroom for us all to breathe. So great job. I'm so proud of you guys for identifying those factors. Okay, so now that we've investigated the classroom and we looked for products or factors for photosynthesis, I want you to pick a spot in the classroom where you can keep your plant. And how does the spot you pick use the 3 ingredients for photosynthesis? So I want you to write or draw a picture of your explanation in your journal. So pick a spot, where is your spot, and why is that spot good for those 3 ingredients of photosynthesis? Draw it out, write it out, discuss it with your group. And for those of you that are done with that part, the extension point for you is, if you took your plant home, where would the best place for it be, and how is that similar or different to the place you chose in the classroom? So if you're done with the first question, you can move on to this one and answer it. Again, you can write or draw your response. Okay, so now that you are all experts for your independent practice without teacher interference, parents here, I want you guys to break up into your groups and you're going to put on a photosynthesis play. In order for your play to be successful, it's kind of like charades, you can't use any words. You have to identify all the factors for photosynthesis, so make sure in your play you show the sun, air, and the water, as well as your plant, and you show how these factors are related to photosynthesis and plant food production. So through your actions, you should be identifying those three factors and showing their relationship and how they work together. Think back to our definitions, think back to our drawings, and then you're going to display it with your body. You could be the air, you could be the rain, you could be the flower that's growing and getting lots of food and nourishment. So make sure you act it out, and we're going to have a presentation, and then when you're done, you can receive from me a standing ovation if you meet all this criteria. Good job, and maybe needs a little bit more rehearsal for your play. And then after that, we'll come back together and we will discuss what our overall takeaways from this particular lesson was, connecting it to yesterday and today and summarizing everything.